Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today, we are diving into a really mysterious pattern, one that kind of echoes throughout all of human history.
So, what are we looking at here? On the left, you've got the Hindu Trimurti, carved into the Elephanta caves in India. And on the right? That's Andrei Rublev's famous icon of the Christian Trinity. Now, at first glance, they seem like they're from completely different worlds, right? But believe it or not, they're both trying to solve the exact same, mind-bending problem. How do you show something that is both 3 and 1 at the exact same time?
And it's not just them. This pattern just pops up again and again and again across totally different cultures in centuries. And this isn't just some weird coincidence. No, it's a huge clue to a fundamental problem our minds are constantly trying to solve.
Okay, so let's really dive into this puzzle.
You see, this pattern goes way beyond religion. If you look at Greek philosophy, the Neoplatonists were talking about a cosmic triad, the one, the intellect, or nous, and the world soul. And in ancient Egypt, their religion organized gods into these powerful family triads, like Osiris, Isis, and Horus. This idea of threeness is this deep, recurring theme in how we make sense of our world. Now, what if we're looking at this all wrong? What if this isn't a theological riddle at all, but a cognitive engineering problem? What if our brains are just wired to face a very, very specific challenge?
Think about it for a second. Any stable concept you can imagine, whether it's a god or an atom or even your own identity, has to solve this exact problem. It needs a core identity, right? It's oneness. But it also has to be able to change and adapt. And this is the crucial part. It needs to hold itself together without just shattering into a million pieces. That is the fundamental cognitive challenge.
So how in the world does the brain solve this? Well, one cognitive science framework, it's called the Brain Kinematics Model, or BKM for short, suggests we actually come pre-equipped with a mental toolkit specifically for this purpose, a toolkit for building stable concepts.
This toolkit has 3 essential functions. First up, you need form. This gives a concept its solid identity, its coherence, its oneness. Second, you have motion. This allows for all the different parts, for change, for transformation. And finally, you have the continuum. Think of this as the cosmic glue, the binding field that holds it all together and keeps it from just flying apart.
So, let's actually apply this toolkit. Now we can look back at those cultural examples and see how each one is basically engineering stability, just in its own unique way.
Let's look at Rublev's icon again. The 3 figures are clearly distinct, right? Yet they feel completely unified. Why is that? Well, the solution here is what you'd call continuity heavy. Their unity doesn't come from a shared body, but from the elegant circular composition, that shared space and harmony that just binds them into this inseparable whole.
The Hindu Trimurti, on the other hand, often takes a different approach. This incredible sculpture really emphasizes the 3 distinct functions or roles of the divine. You've got creation, preservation, and transformation. This makes it a motion-heavy solution, where the differences in action are the main focus, all while being anchored in one single underlying being.
And then you get this, which is just brilliant. Instead of using bodies or roles, this medieval diagram uses pure logic to define the relationships. You know, the Father is not the Son, but the Father is God. It's basically theology as an infographic, creating this abstract logical continuum to hold the whole paradox together.
But here's the catch. Each of these strategies has its own potential failure mode. If you emphasize the differences too much, you risk fragmentation, the idea of 3 separate gods. But if you compress the identity too much, you risk collapse, losing all the meaningful distinctions. It's this constant, tricky balancing act. But what if you could achieve this exact same triadic stability without proposing a trinity of persons at all? What if this pattern is even deeper than we think? So, the Islamic philosopher Mulla Sadra offered a completely mind-bending breakthrough. For him, reality isn't a collection of stable things that just occasionally change. No, he argued that reality is stable change. Being and becoming aren't 2 different things. They are the same thing.
And this is what we can call triadic stability without a trinity. Mulla Sadra's ideas of being, substantial motion, and the gradation of reality, they map perfectly onto form, motion, and continuum. He engineered a solution to the exact same problem, but he did it using pure philosophy. This shows that the pattern is a fundamental architecture of thought itself, something deeper than any single theology.
So, what's the big takeaway from all of this?
These recurring triads, they aren't just cultural quirks or copied ideas. They are independent convergent solutions to the exact same deep cognitive puzzle. How do you build a stable representation of a world that is, all at once, one, many, and always in motion?
And that leaves us with a fascinating question, doesn't it? We've been given a new lens to see these hidden connections. If this blueprint for stability, this balance of form, motion, and continuum is so fundamental to thought itself, where else might we find it hiding in plain sight?